Live from Crystal Doucette's house. We're back with bench racing. This is our second episode of the new year, and we're crazy excited. I've got a trio of Delaware Speedway all-stars here in our home. It's a big moment, so I'll start the introduction without further ado. Immediately to my right, probably one of the most recognizable Superstock drivers in the province. Started in the Junior Racing League, or Cascard Junior, and worked his way up to the Superstocks, done some stuff with the Lucas Oil Series. He is the first man with a six-pack to appear on bench racing since Mac Demand. It is Darrell Lake. Alongside Darrell, probably one of the most exciting young prospects to come onto Delaware Speedway in a long time. Big deal in the truck series, won a lot of races, very successful. Another driver moving up from Grand Bend Speedway with the micro sprints and the junior late models. I'm happy to have him here. He's going Superstock racing in 2014. It is Trevor Collver. And on the end, my favorite Delaware Speedway announcer, without any disrespect to the rest of the team that worked there. I'm just a fan of how he does things. He also applies his craft down at Grand Bend Speedway, none other than Jared Doxtator. And there's enough stuff that's happened in the last couple of weeks at Delaware Speedway that this is a real timely interview to do with you guys, because I want to hear your thoughts about everything that's going on at Delaware. First off, the big rumor that we're able to put to rest is that Delaware is racing in 2014, Jared. That's got to be the main story coming out of everything that's happened in the offseason, that you guys are going to be back on track in 2014.
Absolutely. That's the message that we're all trying to send to the nation, is that Delaware's open for business. We have a great racetrack, lots of cars, lots of fans, and we're going to be there. So fans come out to that.
I mean, people were worried that Delaware was going to go special events only and only open a couple of times a year, but you're going to be back with a full points season.
The full gamut. That rumor's been around for years. It's a rumor we always fight for whatever reason, but we're open. So come on out.
Now, Darrell, we have the Delaware rules meeting in the rearview mirror. Very, very recently in the rearview mirror.
Very recently.
We just chatted off camera about everything that's going on. I mean, walk us through some of the changes and what we can expect out of Delaware this year, because there's a lot going on.
Well, the big change obviously is Johnny Erlin coming in, stepping into the owners or the operations role and really stepping up to the plate. And so, as he says, he's going to be the punching bag for this year. So he's going to be taking full accountability, and he's coming in with a lot of fresh ideas, a lot of guys are not real happy with it. Not too many people are excited about the ideas, but I'm open to it. Everyone's really hesitant to change, but you gotta try it out before you hate on it.
Now, Trevor, one of the things that you guys had mentioned that drivers are not warming up to right away is the different way that the heat races are going to be structured. So walk me through what's going to happen there.
Yeah, they made a big change this year. Usually, at most tracks, or especially Delaware, we run 2 heat races for a class. Your feature race has all the cars, and your heat race has, say it's 16 car field, you have 16 cars in the feature and then 8 in each heat. You run through your heats, go through tech, whatever, have an intermission, then there's that row of features going on. And John brought in the idea that we're going to run 2 heat races again, but all the cars are in that heat. So essentially you have 3 features with all the cars, but the first 2 are going to be 10 laps apiece, and the last one's going to be a 35 lap. Now,
Jared, that's a radical change. That's a swing for the fences type of move. What did Jonathan Erlin sort of allude to what was behind making that decision?
I think what the idea is to speed up our program. We want to focus on families. John made a good point at our meeting that we all came to the racetrack as kids, and that's how we're involved. It's because we grew up from a young age. And we want to bring kids back to the program. We want to keep them there. And being at a track at 11 o'clock at night is too late for kids. So let's get the family back in the sport. So let's speed up our show. So the idea is to speed things up, get them all racing, get them all going. 2 heat races will do that. We're going to have less heat races, still 10 laps, but it's going to be really interesting and I think really exciting. From the fan side, I'm loving it. This is going to be fantastic to see all the cars at once on the racetrack.
Now, Darrell, is it gonna alternate how you line up for the features as well? Like, have they changed that format?
The way they're doing it is that it's going to be a random draw to find out your starting heat race position for the first heat race, and then a complete inversion of the start for the second heat race. So, and the best average, and then a dice roll from there. So it's a little complicated, but it's been a proven thing that's going to work, and John's big idea is that it forces us to give respect on the track. Give that inch so that you're still there and you're still running for the feature. It's going to be a lot of people, a lot of cars. It's going to be exciting stuff, but as long as everyone can keep their head on us, then we can keep our fenders on us, right? So it's going to be
For sure.
it's going to be a wild show, but hopefully everyone can learn how to respect, because there sure has not been a lot of that lately.
Now, Trevor, are you one of the drivers that you haven't exactly warmed up to this idea yet, or are you all right with it? Give me some perspective here on what the drivers are saying.
There's ups and downs. Everyone, obviously, when you have 20 cars trying to get to the front 10 laps, there's going to be some wrecks. There's going to be some bumping and banging. There's guys that are going to be a little more rammy. With a 35 lap race, you got more time. You got a good car. You're just going to work your way up there, keep your equipment under you. This is going to be like Darrell's talking about. If we're gonna make this work, everyone's got to respect each other a lot more. It's going to be a lot more give and take. But to add on that, John said if this isn't going to work, if everyone's tearing up cars, it is subject to change. So first couple of races, we'll see what happens, I guess.
So Jonathan Erlin is sliding into the spot, Jared, of race director. Yeah, that's going to be his job. And so how does, I guess what I'm really asking is, how does the Delaware management sort of shake out? Who's doing what, and what's the roster looking like going forward into 2014 with the fellows that are making the decisions?
Well, John will have that role of being the guy. He's the number one guy that all the competitors will have to go through for the on-track stuff that goes on. He'll be the one who's accountable for the decisions that get made by the other officials. So that's the role he's going to take in that, which was, I think, a really good role for him to do, because he is an ex-competitor, fresh from last season, 2013, knowing what makes people mad, what makes people upset and happy. So I think that's going to be a good positive thing for all the Delaware competitors.
Now, I'm sorry to cut you off, but for Jonathan to step into this role, it's right on the heels of a pretty highly publicized incident where he had an incident on the last night of racing, wrecked out, and sort of aired his concerns on the mic in front of the stands to let everybody know, I guess, what his opinions were and what his viewpoint was to what Delaware needs to change. I mean, is that what we can expect, that he's going to implement everything that he saw Delaware doing wrong for 2014?
Potentially. I think the jury's still out on that, and that's the good thing about all this. We don't know yet. John's a really educated guy. He's raced everything under the sun, from karts to open wheel down in Indianapolis. He's seen all kinds of late model racing. He's seen it all. So we're going to benefit from that, seeing all he's done, seeing all he's raced with it at the other racetracks. We don't know yet, though. And I think the competitors are waiting to see what that'll be. And, this time next year we'll have a better answer on that.
And really my big concession on kind of piggybacking off what Jared's saying is that, having a former competitor in that role, we've had that before, and quite frankly, it didn't work. It was the year that just turned me off from full-time competition. So that's my only reservation, is that when you get somebody in there that's trying to please everybody, you can't please everybody. So as long as he's got a strong mind about, this is the way it's going to be, whether you like it or you don't, it's always going to be this way for everybody. So as long as he can keep any biases or anything like that out of it, and he can stay true to his word, then I think it'll be a great season.
Trevor, I'm going to put you on the spot here. What's one thing you want to see changed about Delaware, the way that Delaware does business in 2014?
Oh, there's a couple things that could definitely be improved. Probably the biggest change I'd like to see is definitely on those restarts. Just clean everything up there. We got John, who's going to be our race director, and he's a racer, so he can tell more on these calls. Sometimes we get, I got caught a lot for some jump restarts last year, which some of them I deserved, some not. You have a slow guy on your inside, he's not going to go. You keep getting called on that, and with a racer's perspective, he should be able to understand that a little better and just kind of clean up those restarts.
Now, I would say one of the biggest news coming out of the off season before the operational changes with the heats and the features was the home and home series with Delaware and Flamborough. I mean, this is like an internet forum goer's dream. This is, any fan on the internet, this is what they wanted.
Yeah.
Before Sunset and Sauble had their home and home series, and that was only 2 shows, one at each track, and it was a huge success. But before that was, the groundwork was even laid for that. People were saying Delaware and Flamborough need to work together, need to have some sort of series. The intertracks are right down the highway from one another. They run similar style cars, Why is this not working? So, Jared, the fans have got it. The fans have been asking for it. Delaware delivers. Home and home series, 3 races at each track. I mean, you got to be so stoked about this.
Indeed, to the average fan, they see the late models on whatnot, and they look the same. And they ask, why can't they go to Flamborough? Why can't they go to Sunset? But we're underneath all these cars are all so different. And so that was the biggest thing the past couple of years. We had the Weekend Warrior Series, 5-6 years ago, and that was with limited success. And we had some of those Flamborough guys come to Delaware because they have to come. And the idea there was to bring them in there so they come more often. And we gained David Elliott from that. David Elliott came on a weekly basis because of that program. So now I think that's big picture thinking. We're going to get that. Again, we're going to have these Flamborough guys come to Delaware Speedway. And I think with the change that need to make to the cars, to the fan, we don't care. The fans don't see the inner workings of all these technical things that the Delaware Speedway and Flamborough Speedway guys are still negotiating. It's not done yet, but they're so close. And I think by the end of the month, we're probably going to know what all the rules are going to be to get this finalized. And that's the late model side. Then we have the super stock as well. They're also doing this home and home. And these guys got to be excited for that because I am, because we don't get to see those guys. The super stocks, the Thunder cars, we don't get the top billing on all the websites, but we're going to see those top guys come and race with our Delaware guys, and I'm excited about that.
Now, it's funny that you mentioned David Elliott because I was speaking to David earlier this offseason, just a couple of weeks ago, and he has confirmed that he's coming back for 7 races this year. He doesn't have a schedule get set. That's what he, in his mind, with his budget, he said, I'm going to come back for 7 races, and that's it. So I can tell you right now, the autumn colors is going to be one of them because if David's watching, he knows and I know he hates autumn colors. Not a fan of autumn colors. So it won't be autumn colors. It easily could be 3 of the shows at the home and home. There's no reason why it wouldn't. So that could be exciting to see guys come out of the woodwork that maybe don't have full-time programs anymore. They come out for a big show with the Flamborough guys coming to Delaware or vice versa. That's huge.
There's big benefits. I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing Jake Ott coming back to Delaware, race Superstock with us for a few years with some success. Races late model at Flamborough now. Welcome back, man.
Huge homecoming.
Yeah, that's going to be a fantastic on the late model side.
Now, we spoke off camera about what had to go on behind the scenes with changing the tires. So obviously the Flamborough cars, the Delaware cars run a completely different rubber. Now that's all changed.
So the benefit of this, especially for us, we went up for Frostfest this last year, and we were talking about whether we go to the retreads or whether we go to the Hoosiers, and I was talking with Fitzpatrick about it a lot, and him and I kind of decided together, okay, we'll go to the 8-inch Hoosier in anticipation that we figured this was the way the track was going to go, and so now that we're all on the same rubber, I think it's going to be a fantastic series. I can't wait to get back up to Flamborough. Going there for Frostfest for the last 3 years, I know my car is competitive up there. And across Delaware, all the Delaware competitors, I probably have the most laps of anyone I can think of up at Flamborough. So I feel like it's going to play to our strength a lot. I think it's going to be really exciting. And I've made some good buddies up there with this last year going up there with Kevin Albers and Gallant and whatnot. I think it's going to be fun having everybody going back and forth and hopefully sharing information so that we can get everybody competitive, and it's not going to be the Delaware guys running away with it at Delaware and the Flamborough guys running away with it at Flamborough. I hope we can keep it good between both tracks.
Now, Trevor, the majority of guys that move up a division, especially because the gap between truck and superstock, it's pretty considerable. It's a big jump. Yep. Most guys, their first year in a superstock, they're going to try to take it easy, just run it home and just get used to the car. I mean, if you're going for a points championship, you don't really have that luxury. You get to go to Flamborough. I mean, you coming out of the trucks, you've never raced at Flamborough in a full-size car. I mean, tell me about what you're looking forward to going down to Hamilton and doing battle with some of the veterans.
Yeah, well, as I got brought up through the other series of Grant, man, we raced at a couple other tracks, and definitely a lot to learn when you show up to a new track, a lot to learn in 3 practices essentially, right? You get a couple of hot laps, got to get your car dialed in, got to get you as a driver, you got to learn the line, you got to learn everything about it. Jumping up in the Superstock series was going to be quite a hurdle, as we've got 9 or 10 drivers that are going to be week in or week out competing for the win. There's Darrell, there's Shea Gemmel, Brandon Verhoeven, we got Matt Rowley, he's always fast. We just got a ton of talent there. Then we're throwing in guys from Flamborough. So moving up, trying to get rookie of the year in this class, and trying to put on a show with those other 6 races. It's gonna be exciting for me as a driver, for my crew, my fans, my sponsors. Hopefully, we can make some good out of it.
2014 is going to be a big year for the scrapbook, my friend. I mean, you're going to have a lot going on. So, Jared, with all this news about, you know, cars coming to Delaware, you got guys that are bringing cars out from the shops that weren't racing in 2013. I understand the meeting was really well attended. I mean, what's the general climate out there with the drivers? I mean, these guys are talking about how excited they are about the home and home series. Is that the general feeling amongst the rest of the Delaware population?
I think so. I mean, just speaking of these two alone, it's a wide range of drivers, I'm sure, having the same problems, but I think they're going to be really excited about this because we want to travel. They want to experience new things and bring in more competitors. Potentially, we could have 30 cars racing on a given night on one of these home and home series. That's incredible amount of cars, and these guys can't have a bad night, especially on those nights, because the points are going to work out that if they finish 30th, that's 30th place points.
Yes.
And that's going to be
for both
huge.
series too, though, right?
That's true. So it's going to be huge numbers for that, and that I think creates a lot of drama, a lot of excitement, and I don't see any reason why any of the competitors wouldn't like this.
So you're going to have show-up points for your home track championship, and there's also going to be an inter-track 6 race points.
6 race competition challenge, whatever you want to call it. There's going to be a points fund aside separate from your home track points fund for this traveling program. So there's going to be a lot of it's going to be very tough to win that thing. There's a lot of competition and a lot of talent, like I say. The guys up at Flamborough, I've gone up there for Frost Fest. I mean, JR even finished second with the car. We had problems last year, but I think we could have been up there knocking at the door with Caden.
Now, we talked really early in the off-season, back in late October, November, and you'd mentioned that your focus for 2014 was going to be run closer to home because you'd done a lot of touring in, I guess, 2012, 2013 with the Lucas Oil Sportsman Cup Tour. You wanted to back that down? Did it just get too crazy going on the road every weekend? Or?
It was more just the fact of my crew chief ended up having a kid over the winter and stuff, and so I understand he's got a lot more on his shoulders, so I ended up having to take a lot more of the work on my shoulders, and so to that extent I ended up doing the conversion. So in order to convert the car from Lucas Oil Super Stock and for all the different tracks, I'd end up having to pull 600 pounds of lead out of the car, lower the whole thing an inch, and on ours it's not just a nice front like load bolt on the front. We had to take the whole thing apart, take the sway bar off and all that, and it was a lot of work on top of having to pull the exhaust out and change the clutch and flywheel and put it all back together. It was probably a good 20-30 hours of work, and to be doing that every other week, it got to be too much. So now that we're sticking to just super stock and traveling to the different tracks, we found a setup that works really well with the same springs at Flamborough and at Delaware. So that's why I'm really excited, because it means way less work for me now.
Have to let me in on that.
Now, I mean, I know Delaware guys all have a certain affinity for the Lucas Oil Tour because with Delaware's roots steeped in CASCAR lore, and that's where CASCAR started out. So the Lucas Oil Tour sort of spawned from the ashes of CASCAR. Is that something you'd be interested in doing with your newly acquired Superstock? Is running some Lucas races?
Yeah, we talked about it. We were actually thinking about maybe running the Lucas series originally and getting out of Delaware, but everything kind of just made sense to run Delaware. And with the Lucas series, it's a great series, but there's only 7-8 races, right? So we want to run a lot of races, and with this 3 races at Flamborough, that might take away from the chances of me going into the Lucas series, just because I am going to be traveling. But if we have a chance to do it, I'm definitely up for it.
Now, Jared, all the young talent that's at Delaware, I mean, you as an announcer, it must make your job that much more exciting to have these young guys to talk about. I mean, you got Shea Gemmell, you got Trevor now moving into the Superstars. I'm sure there's more young talent. Filming in on the youngsters that are sort of making a name for themselves out of Delaware.
Well, sure. I mean, and it all comes from the feeder system. As we have a great feeder system at Delaware and other tracks in the area. Grand Bend Speedway is another track I work at. That's where Trevor comes from.
Yeah.
And they start off so young, and they just progress. They move up to different divisions, and I've seen these guys run their entire careers, both these young guys, because I've seen them run it from junior cast car up to street stock, super stock, and it's not going to end there. There are so many kids still coming up. And people that my heroes, back in the old late model days, their kids are racing now. So it's a big family of racers, and I can't wait to see all of them come back. Verhoeven this year was such a jaw-dropping, inspirational run. This young guy, 16,
So
17,
talented.
17, yeah.
So
17
talented.
years old, and the guy can drive. We couldn't rattle him.
He's
Now,
smart.
his father is Dion Verhoeven. If I'm okay, so I'm embarrassed to admit that I had never even heard of the young man until I was at Delaware late in the season, and he was contending for a feature win, and I can't even remember who I was out there with. I had to say, who is this? I mean, this was his first year in Superstock,
That first
Yes.
year Superstock.
and he came from Grand Bend. I'm
He
assuming?
came from Grand Bend and
Yeah,
Micro
he raced Grand Bend with me for a couple years, and then he probably took 6 or 7 years off racing. He went and ran the bone stocks
Maybe an
for a
enduro
couple
or
years,
Oh,
the
okay.
4 cylinders or whatever at Delaware, just to get back into it.
Right.
And then he jumped up the super stock and
And that's
took
just,
off.
that's bloodline.
Yes.
That's where that comes from. Dion's a great driver. I'm sure he had all the information he needed for Brandon. So we have a lot of talent. It's a family thing.
Yes.
More are coming. It doesn't end here. More are coming from these feeder series.
Now, I love the feeder series. We were just talking about the JRL off camera. I mean, I know you're a huge proponent of youngsters getting into racing and doing it like father and son sort of thing. Tell me about your time in I guess I think it was CASCAR Junior before
It's
JRL.
CASCAR Junior to start with, and and it's a phenomenal program for getting into it and learning the very basics of racing. It's phenomenal for getting you into it and understanding, tight and loose, and trying to explain it. But the educational side, I think there needs to be a little. I understand that they're kids, but I think there still needs to be, for the older kids, the seniors, there needs to be a little more consequence for action. Kids need to understand when they're doing something wrong, because when it doesn't happen, then it feeds up into our classes. We're going to teach them respect in a hurry if they haven't learned it yet. And so I'd rather they learn it in those younger classes where there's less risk, less chance of getting hurt or anything like that. So it is a phenomenal program, but it's a big learning curve when you get into the full-size cars.
Now, did you jump directly from the CASCAR Junior into the Superstock? How old were you when you made that leap?
I actually initially made the leap. I made an attempt at the leap when I was about 15, and I was test driving one of Dave Lawrence's second cars at the time, and we went out there for a sponsor day, and I turned some laps in it, and I was actually pretty good. I was like second off the pace at 15, which isn't half bad. And then we went out there on another day when it was really cold. I lost control and I hit the wall, and we had to put a front clip on the car. And so at that point, we decided I wasn't quite ready. and so when I turned 17, then it was like, all right, now it's the time. So yeah, I did make that jump from CASCAR Junior into Superstock. But having Dave Lawrence take me in under his wing and really teach me how to drive, how to work on the car, and really understand all the moving parts on the car was crucial. If I didn't work on the car, I would never be the driver I am today.
I mean, it's so cool to hear you mention Dave Lawrence, because I think it's impossible to find someone in your age group or in our age group that drives in Delaware that doesn't have a story about Dave and what he meant to that division. I mean, he was the dawn of the Superstock class.
He was the Dale Earnhardt of that division, of that whole track, I think. I mean, he was the lifeblood of that track, and it was, I still remember being up at a cottage and getting the news for it, and it's still shocking. I mean, now that we've moved out of that shop and everything's kind of moved on from there, but I remember just coming back there and you'd just be waiting for him to walk in the door, and you just, it was almost like it was a joke or something, like, when's he coming down? But it's, it's, I feel honestly blessed to have met him and had his influence on my driving.
And gone too soon, but he left two amazingly talented sons. I mean, Chris and Jordan are two of the, when you talk about young talent at Delaware, I mean, they're two of the best on the roster.
Absolutely, and they're right up there as well. I mean, they're out and they learn from the best, and so they're showing their talents. And again, it's that bloodline. They have it in their system.
Now, Trevor, I'm being based out of Barrie, or I was originally out of Toronto, but I mean, I don't know a whole lot about mini sprints. I don't know much about Wonderland and Grand Bend and everything that goes on with the scale cars that way. So you started right at the bottom and worked your way up all the way through these divisions. Give me a little information, man. Bring me up to speed on how it works and what these cars are and how you got to where you are now.
Yeah, no, I started late compared to a lot of guys. A lot of guys and girls, I guess, they start when they're 5, 6 years old. And at my time, when we started Grand Bend, the track was packed. It was awesome time. There's a couple 150 cars. There was a lot of cars.
Full field of cars, yeah.
Smallest class was 20 cars, like 20, 24, 28 cars in a class. It was wild. I started in the junior C division. That's the most basic, youngest. It's a 6.5 horsepower micro sprint, solid chassis, no suspension, whatever. It with that car you can run 3 divisions. You can run the junior C, the junior B, and the junior A. Difference between junior C and junior B is just more experience and a little faster. You're essentially around that track. Almost anything you're driving, you're wide open. In the junior C, you're still learning how to do that, whatnot. Junior B, you're at that step, and then to move up to junior A, the difference is taking the restrictor plate out of your motor, and that's a second.
So I guess the structure is kind of similar to the way the legends do it with the, I guess you start in young lines and then it's semi-pro and eventually you work to masters, and it's all based on experience because the cars are relatively the same. So you were able to compete with one chassis all the way up?
Yeah, from junior C to junior A, I ran a season of junior C, then another season of junior B, and 2 seasons of junior A. And that last season of junior A, we had an awesome year. We won 10 out of 13 or 14 races in the championship. And that year was probably one of the best classes. We were 3 wide, we were bump drafted, and I learned a lot in that class.
Now, so from the junior, the mini sprints, you made your way into
the mini trucks.
The mini trucks.
The mini trucks.
You sort of passed the junior late models and went right into the trucks. The trucks have suspension though, right?
Correct, yeah. Basically, the junior A's and the junior late models were similar in speed, so I figured there wasn't much point in moving to that other than it'd be a enclosed body. That's the only difference you'd gain off that, I guess. So we decided to move right up into the truck series, and we had a good season. We won Rookie of the Year, and I think we won a race. Had a couple top 3 finishes. It's a big 50-lap events, and that class we also had a lot of talent in there, and I learned a lot from Wes Tanner and Shay Gemmel and Brandon Thurlby and Sean Thompson and all those guys. It was
I remember Brandon Thurlby.
Star-studded field.
So now you're 18 now?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm trying to I want to learn more about you because we're doing the home and home. You're going to go to Flamborough.
Yeah.
I'm going to just get on you about bringing that car to Sunset. So we're gonna see you everywhere in Ontario. So it's time to introduce yourself to these people that don't know you. Tell me a little bit about your program. How did you get into racing? What's your history? Was it a father-son thing, or tell me about it?
I started when I was 10 years old. My one of my sponsors, Ron O'Brien, told my brother about racing and getting into the cars at Grand Bend or whatever, and we all went out to the track, watched, and he liked it and was going to do that, and I was just in the background kind of watching, wasn't too interested. I always liked NASCAR, and so my brother Justin got a car, and we were starting to gear up for the season, and as we were working on the car and getting ready and this and that, I kind of leaned over to my parents and said, I want one. And they kind of scrambled. I got some money together and got me in racing the same year, and it just went from there. My parents, me, my brother, none of us, we knew nothing about racing. We just loved it, loved watching it. We learned all the way through. My parents have always supported me through. I had to learn a lot of it myself. Artie Gemmel taught me a lot. I bought a couple race cars off him, and he showed me some stuff, and he's a big reason I had a lot of success.
So is your brother still racing, or did he sort of drop out of the scene?
No, he raced with me all the way up into the mini trucks. I departed 2 years ago and went up to the big trucks at Delaware, and he stayed and ran another year, and I helped crew chief him there, and kind of that was fun working together. He went to school and I do racing, so
okay.
he had to put his money there, and I worked my butt off and put my money in a race car, so that's how I am.
You're gonna spend a ton of money either way, right? It just depends on where you want to do your work. Jared, you're the man at Grand Bend. I mean, I know you know all these guys. By the time they get to Delaware, and schmucks like me are first hearing about them, you've already known them for like a decade. So, give me a little bit of insight into the next crop of talent that's coming up. I mean, it's impossible to forecast who's going to do what, but who are the big names at Grand Bend right now that we might be seeing at Delaware in the next couple of seasons?
I want to say Ray Morneau.
For sure.
Oh yeah,
Little Ray.
another bloodline.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely, and he's got tons of talent. He races a legend this year, the past couple of seasons, and the kid looks like a seasoned veteran.
Okay.
Just how smooth he is, and he's going to be the next superstar. He lives in Windsor, so he has the ability to travel to the stateside.
Yes.
And he'll be doing some races over there, I think, in the next couple of years with the legend. I think they even buy some sort of thunder car for over there as well. So that's going to be the next big thing. And the kid's 13, 14, 15, young.
Oh, right.
So when he grows up, it's going to be pretty spectacular.
Now I know Racing Year was a stud in super stock. I mean, he was phenomenal. But I remember just that white car with the blue numbers and all. How many races he won in it? So
sucked finishing second. I'll say that much.
Yeah.
is that a second or third generation driver? So Ray Jr.
Oh, there I think it's at least 3 generations.
At least 3 generations.
Yes.
See, I mean, that's phenomenal. I mean, we're at this end of the province where we're just now getting into third generation drivers, and Delaware's had it for a couple of years now. And again, it all comes back to that feeder series that Delaware and the surrounding tracks have been able to cultivate so well over the last couple of years.
I think so. And we've tried various things at Grand Bend. We've tried the 4-cylinder thing.
Yes.
We're going to try it again. We have to because it's the thing to do. And this year, or the past 3 years, we have the legend cars. And that's been huge for us. We've gotten American competitors come over and race with us. We convinced the Ontario guys, their legend guys, to come down and race with us. And it sparked an interest. And so we had a good big field in September, and it's going to grow. The legend thing is going to grow. It's just coming to Canada. It's just getting big this side of the 400 highway. So once it grows that side, I think we're in for a good another feeder system, another feeder program.
I mean, it's been used in the southeast of the United States as a driver development tool for years. I mean, it's just been the way you start in Bandoleros and then you move your way up to legends, and from there you find whatever full body car you want to step into. But it's almost a rite of passage for racers in the South to have to race in legends before you figure out what you want to do. And to see it jump off now in Ontario, I mean, the possibilities it's limitless with the base that they've got at Peterborough now. Sunset's finally agreed to bring them in to have some invitationals. So now Grand Bend has a solid following, and Delaware has some legend shows as well, do they not?
We had one last year, invitational, just to get our feet wet, to see how it works. Delaware's a bit big, and they go really fast, and they look fantastic, but luckily, we didn't have any incidents. And I just don't want to see an incident ever. And so I'm not sure what the schedule is going to be like for this year for the Legend for Delaware. It may or may not be on the schedule. I don't know yet, but it might not be there.
I got you. Now, it's impossible to get 3 Delaware guys together and for me not to ask about the Great Canadian. Because, I mean, it's the Delaware crown jewel. It's one of Ontario's crown jewels. I mean, it's a huge race going back 3 decades now, I think, 30-something years.
30 years, yeah.
I mean, so I'll start with you, Darrell. You've been a Delaware guy your whole racing career. Tell me about the Great Canadian, what it means to you, and where you see it headed starting this year.
Well, the Great Canadian, it's got a ton of heritage. You've got a lot of big name. I mean, guys like Earl Ross and whatnot that have been in it and been a part of it. I mean, it's big. It's when you can be involved with it, it's a big deal. And so this year, there's not a lot of information about it out yet. We're still waiting to hear the solid plan with it. But all we know is that this year's Super Stocks are going to be on show for both days, which I think is going to be phenomenal. I can't wait for that. I'm excited to be on for the 2 days. I mean, it's going to be a good show, and being able to stick around and watch the late models do their thing too. So it's going to be a really exciting day, and I can't wait to put on a show for the fans.
I mean, Trevor, the stage doesn't get any bigger than that at Delaware. I mean, the Great Canadian Weekend, you get to be a part of it now. I mean, you have to be stoked about that.
Oh, for sure. We even last year and the last 2 years I've raced trucks, we've been racing on the days with Canadian Tires when they come into town, and even that just feels awesome, having all those fans there, having those great talented crew chiefs, and everyone seeing you working your way up. And we had a really good chance of winning that race last year, and we burned our number 7 spark plug wire with 5 laps to go, or we would have made a good run at Brady Smith. He ended up winning. He has a good truck all day. We would have had a good shot at that, but this is just the pinnacle of it, really. I got a lot of support from sponsors, and they're just going to be thrilled that I'm doing this. They'll all be camping there, all ready to go, having a good time. I'm going to have a lot of support, and I'm going to try and put on a good show.
Now, from the grandstand side of the catch fence, have you been able to take in a few Great Canadians since you've been involved in the racing scene? You got a good Great Canadian. What was your favorite Great Canadian race so far?
Oh, this last one I actually liked the most because I was on Sean Thompson's pit crew. I like watching it from the stands, but just being a part of it, seeing better, and listening to Sean and Jerry communicate on the radio is always a treat. It was a good year to help them out. We ended up getting tangled up in a couple wrecks, and he managed finishing 4th, I believe, after all that. But it was an interesting day, and hopefully it'll be an interesting day racing this year.
And fans, if you haven't got to see a Great Canadian yet, I mean, you've got to make it out to Delaware. I was there this year for, Matt Pritico and Jesse Kennedy put on a show. I mean, one of the best races I saw anywhere in North America in all of 2013. I mean, I was stunned at how good of a race it was. I mean, Jared, it didn't get more dramatic in the last couple of laps of that race, and it seems as though that event just lends itself to that kind of racing where you get to 3 laps to go, and it's anybody's race, and you got 3 or 4 guys that they could take it away.
The whole event in September was huge, with the additional money that was on the line for the guy winning the halfway point. Early in the race, Jesse Kennedy got tied up with John Erlin, got sent to the back, and to watch him march from the front to the back in those first 80 laps was spectacular.
And he was coming. He gets past Matt Pritico with 10 to go before the halfway break, and a caution comes out, and then there's a natural break, and that was the finish for that first half. Okay, well, he goes to the back, and again, watching him march to the front, and he gets to the front, and this time Matt Pritico has something for him. Then it's the big multi-car extra overtime. Yeah, that little bump and run kind of deal.
On the back straightaway where he clears himself and just about piles it into the outside wall. Oh my God.
That was spectacular. That was that drama that we love, that this race lends itself, as you say. 2012, I interviewed Mark Watson when he won the race after, and I had my interview speech already lined up for whoever won. I said, Peter Gibbons, Junior Hanley, Tracy Leslie, Steve Rodley, and now Mark Watson. And just to say those names
absolutely
is huge, and that's what makes this race so big. Just those names I mentioned are just some of the winners that are part of that event. Dan Shirtliff, Sean Doopy. You just don't get that kind of star talent winning races like that. And that's what makes it so big for me. Watching, I think all but one I was at, and it's huge. It's a big deal to have that race there. And we had it on May 2-4 a few years ago. It wasn't well attended because it's May 2-4. It's not a traditional weekend. We've moved the race from Labor Day to late September because CASCAR had a race out west in Vancouver, but it doesn't matter when the race is. That race is whenever it is, or no matter the format, it always lends itself to a huge day.
I mean, you get there 8, 9 in the morning for the Great Canadian to get ready for practice. There's just a certain energy in the air. I mean, there are very few races that you can go to that feel like that. I mean, in Ontario, it's a short list. I'd say that the Autumn Colors Classic on feature day has that sort of energy. I mean, in recent years, the Beat the Heat race at Sauble is getting there, but neither one of those events are as storied and have the type of history that the Great Canadian does. You show up at the track and you walk through those gates and you know that you're going to see something special, regardless of who wins.
Absolutely. And no matter, we had a car count issue a few years ago with it. It doesn't matter. You know, if we had the best 20, best 30 cars, it doesn't matter. It's going to be a fantastic race. 3 years ago, a friend of mine had a wedding in Ottawa on Labor Day weekend. I told him he was nuts. But I can't miss this race. I can't. Went to the wedding, partied all night, flew home Sunday morning from Ottawa just to be part of that event. And it was a hot day. It was a crazy day. We crashed every car but one, I think. But you had to be there.
Yeah.
And it's one of those have to be there kind of events. And I don't think we see that anywhere else. And I think it has to do with the length. I mean, it's 200 laps or 100 laps, whatever the length is, it's an endurance race. Some tracks have a 50-lap feature, 75, maybe 150, but this is big.
Absolutely.
It makes it that much different than anything else.
So if you've been there for all but one, Trevor mentioned that this year was his favorite year. What was your... I won't ask you for the year, but what event? You don't have to put a year to it because it's, I don't know, once you've been around long enough, the years all sort of blend in. What was your favorite edition of that race?
I think, personally, my favorite driver of all time is Tracy Leslie. And that was back before this guy was even born. And it was, I think, 86. He had won a third of 3. And Junior Hanley brought a car that he built for Bill Elliott. It was Coors painted number 9. And he still couldn't beat Tracy Leslie. But that was my favorite. But you know what? There's so many that I can't even list a top 5. They're just all that good.
Now the event started as a super late model race,
It
correct?
did, yep, certainly back in the early 80s.
And it transitioned into CAS car?
A CAS car, mid 80s into late 90s. It was a 300 lap event. Part of the CAS car's national tour, they did 2 Eastern and 2 Western. They made a combo for a national. And those are 300 lap races, plus a 100 lap race on Thursday before. So they call it the 500 weekend.
Okay.
So it was always a big deal, no matter who was racing it. And I think 05, 06, we got back to the late model, the current late model style. And we've had different kind of formats, triple 100s, the Invader race. APC put $10,000 up to win the thing. So we've had various formats, various titles, but no matter what it is, it's such a big, huge event.
It's easily one of my favorite races. Any time. I mean, I had to miss a couple of them because a lot of tracks like to schedule something on Labor Day weekend. But when I was able to go back this year, it's just insane, and it's a great segue to what I want to talk about next, because I just recently, to get ready for this episode, I went back and watched the episode of Grassroots that you did at the Great Canadian Weekend. I thought it was phenomenal with the onboard footage and everything that happened, and you with your shirt off yelling at Jeff Schauler, and it was just fantastic. Tell me about because I mean your YouTube series. I mean, it was around long before mine. I mean, tell me all about what started this and where you're going with Grassroots.
With Grassroots, the idea of it was just, everyone, all my friends get on me and being like, anybody can go fast and turn left. And so I was the idea is to try and show everybody that it's so much more than that. That there's so much involved in racing, both in preparation to it and the in-car footage and the intensity and just being able to see at that same eye level that I'm seeing on the track and how little you can see out the car and everything, and still be able to see everything that goes on, and to have that onboard footage of Schauler adoring me and just everything, it gives fans a really unique perspective and an insight into what I'm going through and what's going through my head at that time. So it's just something unique that I don't think many people understand. So that's all I was really trying to do with it, and then it's kind of ballooned into more and more stuff as stuff happens. And so it's gotten to the point where sometimes, I'll do some stuff on the track just because I know it'll look good on camera or something like that. It's kind of escalated at some points, but and you got to play to the draw, Matt.
Absolutely,
right? You got it. It's for fun. It's all, and I understand too. It's for the fans. Fans need to be entertained. You want to make sure they're getting their dollar value.
Absolutely.
So that's kind of what I'm thinking on the track is. Even when there's some times when you're not going to make the pass, you'll give the guy a little tap, get him a little sideways, just because it's more entertaining for the fans.
Now, that night, it was episode number 6 or 7,
I think.
Go and watch all of them, anyway. They're all really good, but the Great Canadian one was especially good. It seemed as though there was some legitimate heat between you and Jeff Schauler. I mean, I know that in any division, if you race against a guy for long enough, I'm assuming you've been racing against Jeff for 4 or 5 years?
There's going to be some history, and there is some history, and there's some stuff where he's an awesome guy. I really like Jeff out of the car, but once he puts that helmet on, it's just one of those people that when you get the helmet on, they don't drive the same as they do in person. And I mean, he's spun me out in practice before, so there's just been some tension there. And so for him to do that when he's just nowhere near my door, I was pretty pissed. And it was going to be our first win. I've dominated the whole time. I was running away from him before the caution. It was just, I was not real happy, so I wanted to show my distaste for him when we did get the caution afterwards. And unfortunately, for some reason, you can destroy a race car and get a 5-lap penalty by giving a guy a shot under caution. I get parked. So I don't know. That's why I'm really happy to have Johnny Erlin up there, where we have somebody that's going to be accountable for these actions, for these calls that are made on the track, and somebody to talk to afterwards and just say, okay, I understand what I did wasn't really right, and I'd understand a 1-lap penalty, but why did I get parked for that? Come on. Let's think about this.
I mean, what you really had to see was how fast Darrell ripped his shirt off in protest of this penalty. I mean,
angry.
It was just like, this shirt's in my way of being angry. Like, I can't be mad with a shirt on. I gotta take this right off. And it was a crowning
intimidation.
It was a crowning moment in Darrell Lake's career as both a videographer and as a driver. Get that shirt out of the way.
You're more excited than he does.
I mean, just the only reason I was excited is because me and John Howden were in the booth for it. And
you want to see him rip a shirt off?
No, because I know. Like, okay, I
do have a bit of a reputation.
Look, there are three guys in racing that hate shirts: Andy Camrath, Mac DeMann, Darrell Lake. That's the 3 right there. Hate shirts. I mean, I had Matt Barton and Davey Terry over last night, and they said you should just do a power rankings of guys that don't like shirts. Just do that right. We can do it. You would probably be number one. So me and Houghton are in the announce tower, and we hear that you get the call that you've got to park it, and we know that you're coming out to. We didn't know if you were going to throw your helmet. We didn't know if you were going to, shallow the bird. We didn't know what you were going to do, but we knew that you were going to do something. And I turned to John and I said, I guarantee you, when he comes out from the car, he'll have no shirt on. And I said, I'll take that bet. I'm like, all right, just watch. No sooner did we say that, you get up on the wall, no shirt on, you're angry. I'm like, there you go, right there. So I wasn't necessarily excited to see him with no shirt off. I just like being right. That was a big moment for me. I was right and I was happy about it. So Grassroots is going to come back for a third season, I'm assuming?
So Grassroots will probably be back for a third season. I just got a new camera over the Christmas break, so we can get some good filming with out of the car shots as well as in the car shots, and and we're gonna be back for the full season. So it'll be a lot more dramatic, being that I have to points race at some points, and there's gonna be a lot more mental capacity shown on the this Grassroots this season.
And now that you and Trevor spent an entire day in a car together, coming to Barrie and going back home, a little bit of a bromance may have started. Can we get an in-car camera in Trevor's car, or what? Can we make that happen?
I mean, we can put one on the trunk looking backwards at him, but that's because we're gonna get there.
And it begins.
Now, a huge reason why we wanted to do this episode with you guys is for the I'm going to try to get this right. The champion search for a champion spark plug contest.
Yeah,
so
sponsorship contest.
I'm going to let you guys explain what that is, because I'm sure I would just watch it. Tell me all about what this contest is and what's going on.
So when was it? Thanksgiving. I was sitting at my grandma's having a nice meal. She did a great job on it.
Thanks, Grandma.
This is for you, bud. I was reading my Twitter and I saw Champion Spark Plug contest, and usually I just scroll by advertisements, not really looking. This one, for whatever reason, caught my eye. Clicked on it, looked at it, researched it, and it's an awesome program. There's 15 sponsorships for $5,000 a piece, and the main prize is $50,000. Basically, you have a 2-minute video entry. You talk about who you are, what you've raced, where you're from, all that. It's pretty cool if you make good video. And basically, it's judged on 33% votes, 33% on inspirational factor, and 33% on showing the best deception of a champion. And me and Darrell helped me make my video. He cameraed it.
Yep.
And we both took that all into account, and we think we did a good job of making that.
So that's a tough. So your best depiction of a champion. So what did you put on video for that?
You're gonna have to watch the video and find out.
Oh, so we'll put the link in the watch. Scroll down, and I'm gonna have the link there. You guys can check out the videos and vote for these guys, because I mean, local racers. I think Bobby Pierce out of Illinois won it last year and ran on the Lucas Oil series. But I mean, Bobby Pierce's dad's a chassis man. He doesn't need that sponsorship nearly as much as these guys do. So make sure to check that out. I mean, Jared, can we get these guys in the top 15? It's a big moment if we can win this contest.
We're going to try. I mean, everyone's votes. Click on the links below. Vote once a day, every day from now until February 6th. But we need the votes. February 2nd. Yep. We need to get more votes, because there are a few Canadians in this event. There's a few, I counted maybe 8 or 9. Yeah. Not that many.
And how many people submitted videos?
394. 392 is what we got.
392. We checked that on the way up. So there's a lot of competition. And I mean, of those 392, I would say 300 of them are garbage.
Right.
There's 92 of them that
are fire. You got nothing.
There's about 92 of them that are actually really well done and really well edited and pretty good videos. So we just want to do it and try and get Canada on the map. Try and get Southwestern Ontario racing on the map. Let's get us noticed. Let's get the word out there that we're just as good as the guys in the States.
Let's get a little pocket change.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you could do a lot with that sponsorship, especially now that you got to be heading down the highway to Flamborough. You know, you might have
three
times. You'll use that up just in body repair.
There we go.
If we can get our bodies repaired.
Exactly. I mean, we appreciate you guys coming through and doing this video with us. And Darrell brought the GoPro through, so Crystal said didn't have to hold it for 40 minutes. She appreciates that. You guys should definitely follow these guys on Twitter. So Darrell, what's the Twitter handle?
So Twitter handle and grassroots stuff, just search Lake D77 and everything should come up. And follow me on there. And I post it all along the way. happy or sad tweets or pissed off tweets, whatever. They all come out there.
They're awesome. They're good. I highly recommend it. Trevor, what's the Twitter handle, my friend?
Yeah, you can follow me at tculver51. We might change that to at tculver1 because my plans for 2014 is to go to the one as Rob Lee has my number, which I'm very happy about, but we'll deal with it. Rookie gotta take it when I can get it. So also you can follow me at Trevor Collver on Facebook.
And for myself, I'm at Jared_announcer. I do both racetracks, so I just can't have one, so it's Jared_announcer.
One of the most popular announcers in the province.
I wouldn't
Right
say
here. Follow
that.
him on Twitter.
I'm on
Always
Facebook
informative.
too.
On Facebook as well, especially when it comes to the Great Canadian Time. This is the guy you want to follow because he's got information on every race that ever happened with the Great Canadian branding. It's fantastic. So we appreciate you guys tuning in. Make sure to follow me on Twitter as well at It's Spencer Lewis. And check out all of our updates on www.insidetracknews.com. For Darrell Lake, Trevor Collver, and my man Jared Doxtator, my name is Spencer Lewis. We don't know who we're going to have on for bench racing next. I hope that we can get Jonathan Erlin at one point. I think that'd be a great interview. So stay tuned, and we'll let you know. But until then, we're out.
Remember to keep going for Spencer.